Whatever happened to Ray Charles's 12 children? He was the genius who changed music forever. But behind Ray Charles's soulful voice and Grammy-winning legacy lies a family saga few dare to talk about. 12 children, 10 different women, millions at stake. And yet most of his kids were nearly erased from his legacy. From secret meetings to courtroom battles over song rights, this is the untold truth of what really happened to Ray Charles's children. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, and stay with us as we uncover the truth they never wanted the world to know. Evelyn Robinson. Long before Ray Charles became a household name and international icon, his journey into fatherhood had already begun. In 1949, at the youthful age of 18, Ray and his then-girlfriend Louise Mitchell welcomed a baby girl into the world, Evelyn Robinson, the very first of what would eventually be a dozen children. Born in Tampa, Florida, just a year before her father recorded his debut track, Evelyn's life started in the shadows of rising fame, but never relied on it. While her father was crisscrossing the country with a suitcase full of melodies and a mind fixed on stardom, Evelyn was being raised by her mother in more grounded surroundings. Though they shared blood, she rarely experienced the presence of her famous father during her formative years. With her upbringing detached from the chaos of touring buses and recording studios, Evelyn learned to carve her own route, one not paved by fame, but by fierce self-reliance and intellect. As an adult, Evelyn emerged as a woman of remarkable versatility. She explored various industries, showcasing a knack for leadership, systems thinking, and innovation. Her professional resume spans from project management to health and wellness consulting, from event coordination to corporate training. She even held roles in legal services management, earning a reputation for professionalism and adaptability. Notably, Evelyn's technological aptitude led her to serve as a software engineer and systems analyst for Verizon, an impressive accomplishment in a male-dominated tech landscape, especially for a black woman during her time. Never one to be complacent, she returned to academia, earning a master's certificate in project management from George Washington University, a move that reinforced her commitment to lifelong learning. Despite her father's worldwide fame, Evelyn chose a life of dignity and discretion. Unlike some of her siblings, she never entered the entertainment industry or pursued the spotlight. She didn't appear on tribute specials or in documentaries, and there's no evidence of her trying to monetize the Charles name. Her low profile reflects not isolation but intention, a desire to succeed without riding coattails. Living in Boston, Massachusetts, Evelyn remains a deeply private individual. Her achievements are not splashed across tabloids or red carpets, but they're substantial nonetheless. Friends and colleagues have described her as driven, warm, and incredibly resilient traits, perhaps inherited from her father's indomitable spirit, though channeled in different ways. While she did attend the 2002 family gathering, Ray Charles convened before his passing a pivotal moment when he offered each child a $500,000 trust fund. Evelyn has largely stayed distant from the legal disputes that followed. She appeared neither in courtrooms nor headlines, but her silence speaks volumes. Her legacy is her own, built on intellect, work ethic, and independence. Now in her mid-70s, Evelyn Robinson stands as a quiet pillar of the Charles family story. She didn't need a microphone or stage to honor her heritage. Her life itself is a testament to perseverance, evolution, and grace. In a family filled with musical echoes, Evelyn's legacy may be the most quietly powerful of them all. Ray Charles Robinson, Jr. Born on May 25, 1955 in Los Angeles, Ray Charles Robinson, Jr. came into the world during the crescendo of his father's rising stardom. As the first son of Ray Charles and Della Beatrice Howard Robinson, Ray Jr. grew up witnessing both the brilliance and burdens of his father's celebrity. He bore not only the family name, but also the emotional weight that came with being the child of a global icon. Ray Jr.'s childhood was marked by both privilege and pressure. While his father was revolutionizing the world of music, young Ray experienced the complexity of fame from the inside out. He lived in a household where success loomed large, but so did absence and tension. His parents' marriage would eventually dissolve, leaving behind questions and quiet wounds. Rather than follow his father's footsteps into musical performance, Ray Jr. chose a different path, one behind the curtain where storytelling and legacy preservation became his calling. With an eye for cinema and a heart full of memories, Ray Jr. emerged as a producer and author, devoting himself to portraying his father's truth with nuance and integrity. He was a co-producer of the 2004 Oscar-winning film Ray, starring Jamie Foxx, a project that brought his father's life to a new generation. That film not only garnered critical acclaim, but also helped humanize the man behind the myth. He later co-wrote the intimate memoir, You Don't Know Me: Reflections of My Father Ray Charles, which gave the world a glimpse into the private struggles, personal victories, and complex dynamics of being the son of a cultural giant. Through this book, Ray Jr. didn't shy away from difficult subjects. He addressed addiction, emotional distance, and reconciliation, revealing a deeply personal and honest portrait of their bond. Outside of media projects, Ray Jr. is also known for his work in community outreach, particularly in supporting those affected by addiction. His father's well-documented battle with heroin had lasting effects on the family, and Ray Jr. has transformed that pain into purpose, championing recovery resources and speaking to youth groups about resilience and self-worth. Now nearing 70, Ray Charles Robinson Jr. lives in Los Angeles with his longtime partner, Rhonda Bailey. He is the proud father of 2 daughters, Erin and Blair, and a doting grandfather to Kennedy. Described by friends as grounded and gracious, Ray Jr. has carried the name not as a burden, but as a mission. He once shared that his father told him, "You have my name, and you'll be able to use it." And he did, but never for profit or pretense. Instead, Ray Jr. has served as a thoughtful steward of the Charles legacy, ensuring that beyond the gold records and legendary performances, the man behind the music is remembered in full. Through film writing and quiet acts of service, Ray Charles Robinson Jr. has proven that legacies aren't inherited, they're earned. David Robinson. Born in 1958, David Robinson grew up in the golden haze of his father's musical dominance, yet chose a path far away from the blinding spotlight. As the middle child of Ray Charles and his longtime wife, Della Robinson, David spent his childhood in the family's Los Angeles home, where fame often loomed larger than intimacy. While his older brother Ray Jr. embraced the media and their father's legacy in a public way, David moved through life with quieter resolve. From an early age, David witnessed the duality of his father's existence, the brilliance of his music, and the struggles behind closed doors. Though Ray Charles's blindness never seemed to hinder his professional drive, it often meant he was absent for pivotal family moments. Yet rather than harbor resentment, David chose to learn from his father's grit. In interviews, he's spoken with admiration about how Ray never let his disability define him. That determination, that focus, it shaped how I Live David once shared. Unlike some of his siblings who followed creative or entrepreneurial pursuits, David embraced a modest, low-profile lifestyle. He stayed close to family building, a foundation rooted in loyalty and emotional steadiness. He married his longtime partner Cynthia, and together they raised their son Conrad Robinson in a household filled with love, structure, and quiet pride. That pride would turn to profound sorrow in 2013 when tragedy struck. Their son, Sergeant Conrad Robinson, a dedicated serviceman stationed at Camp Bondsteel in Kosovo, died at just 36 years old. The loss shook the Robinson family to its core. For David, it was the most devastating chapter of his life. Ray Charles, who had died in 2004, never had the chance to meet his grandson. Still, the grief was shared across generations. Despite this heartache, David never became a public figure or activist. He didn't seek to capitalize on his father's name or enter legal battles over estate disputes. Instead, he remained a stabilizing force within the family, often providing behind-the-scenes support to his siblings during turbulent times. When several of Ray's children went to court to reclaim music rights in the early 2010s, David was present emotionally, if not always legally. Now in his mid-60s, David continues to live a life of discretion and quiet dignity. Friends describe him as compassionate, steady, and introspective, a man who carries the Charles name not with noise, but with humility. Though he has not authored books, produced films, or taken to stages, David has left an imprint through his constancy. In a family of 12 where voices range from activists to artists, David Robinson's strength lies in being the calm in the storm. His life serves as a reminder that not all legacies are loud. Some like his are lived in silence with depth, grace, and the kind of unshakable love that needs no microphone. Charles Wayne Hendricks. Born in October 1959, Charles Wayne Hendricks was the son of Ray Charles and Margie Hendricks, a powerhouse vocalist from the Raelettes Ray's electrifying all-female backing group. Their intense, often volatile relationship burned hot in the late 1950s, producing not just unforgettable music, but a child born out of passion and secrecy. Charles Wayne's early years were shaped by dual forces: his mother's stormy career and Ray's relentless touring. Margie, whose voice soared on songs like "Nighttime is the Right Time," was eventually dismissed from Ray's band in 1964 amid personal and professional conflict. Sadly, her life unraveled, and in 1973, at just 38 years old, she passed away, leaving behind a 13-year-old Charles who had suddenly lost his sole caregiver. Though Ray had been largely absent during Charles Wayne's childhood, he stepped in after Margie's death. Their bond was tentative and complicated, a global superstar father trying to connect with a teenager he barely knew. Yet Charles never seemed bitter. Rather than follow his father into the entertainment world, he chose a quiet life far removed from celebrity headlines. He married Marlene, settled in Aurora, Colorado, and raised a family of his own. Friends and neighbors knew him as reserved and thoughtful, someone who valued peace and family more than performance or fame. Though he shunned the spotlight, he eventually made national headlines not for scandal, but for justice. In 2010, Charles Wayne joined 6 of his siblings in a legal challenge against the Ray Charles Foundation. They asserted their rightful claim to over 50 songs composed by their father, arguing U.S. copyright law allowed them to reclaim those works. In a landmark decision in 2013, the court sided with the children. Tragically, Charles Wayne Hendricks passed away in May 2013, the very year of that legal victory at the age of 53. His obituary made little mention of fame. It honored him simply as a loving husband, father, and grandfather. For a man born into one of the most turbulent chapters of Ray Charles's life, Charles Wayne chose a legacy of grace over grievance. His story remains a powerful reminder that behind every public triumph, there are private struggles and quiet heroes. Robert F. Robinson Sr. Born in 1961, Robert F. Robinson Sr. is the youngest of Ray Charles's 3 sons, with Della Beatrice Howard Robinson, and perhaps the one whose journey transformed the most. As a child, Robert spent time traveling with his father's tour crew, absorbing the rhythm of life on the road. While his older brothers leaned into media and family history, Robert's path was spiritual, academic, and rooted in community. Following his parents' divorce in 1977, Robert remained primarily with his mother in View Park, California, though he still maintained contact with Ray. As a teen, he worked as a roadie, hoping proximity would spark connection, but his true calling was revealed elsewhere. An academic achiever, Robert attended a Christian aviation school, becoming a top-ranking student, and later a flight instructor. But as the HIV/AIDS crisis swept through the U.S. in the 1980s, Robert felt a divine pull toward ministry. Swapping flight paths for faith, he became Dr. Robert F. Robinson Sr., earning degrees in theology and stepping into the role of head pastor at Great Faith Ministries. Through powerful sermons and community outreach, Robert channeled his father's drive into service. He didn't seek celebrity, but rather purpose, helping others find their own redemption stories. His voice, once behind a drum kit, now filled pulpits with messages about resilience, forgiveness, and legacy. When conflicts erupted over Ray's estate and musical catalog, Robert was among the most vocal. He publicly called out Ray's former manager, criticizing the Ray Charles Foundation for excluding biological children. "If you respect a man, you respect his bloodline," he stated in a powerful interview, making it clear that to him honoring Ray meant embracing his family fully. Now, in his early 60s, Pastor Robert remains a guiding figure, not just for his congregation, but for a sprawling family still navigating what it means to carry a legendary name. His life, shaped by gospel rather than glamour, stands as a beacon of integrity, showing that true legacy lies in service, not spotlight. Rainey Robinson. Born in 1961, Rainey Robinson is one of the lesser-known yet most impactful daughters of Ray Charles. Her mother, Mae Mosley Lyles, was among the many women Ray was romantically linked to during his prolific touring years. Unlike some of her siblings who chose solitude or stardom, Rainey chose responsibility, emerging as the unspoken glue that helped keep the far-flung Charles siblings in touch. Growing up mostly with her mother, Rainey had sporadic contact with her father, who was frequently on the road or in the studio. However, she remained determined to form bonds with her half-siblings, many of whom had different mothers' backgrounds and life experiences. Her mission wasn't about fame or fortune, it was about connection. Over the years, she naturally evolved into the unofficial family liaison, often organizing group calls and family updates. In her adult life, Rainey pursued a grounded and self-sufficient career. Based in Los Angeles, she built a name as a tax consultant, credit specialist, and legal shield representative, offering services that empowered others to take control of their financial futures. Friends describe her as a straight shooter with a warm heart, someone who will give tough love when necessary, but is always ready to help. Despite not being in the spotlight, Rainey made waves in 2016 when she publicly criticized the Ray Charles Foundation for excluding most of the biological children from a high-profile White House tribute. Out of 12 siblings, only a few were even informed. "We're usually the last to hear about it," she told the Washington Post, voicing the pain that came with being marginalized from their own father's legacy. She was also a key participant in the copyright reclamation battle, standing beside her siblings to legally secure rights to over 50 of Ray's compositions. For Rainey, the fight wasn't just about money, it was about respect. She recounted how her father once included her and Ray Jr. in a 1990s merchandise venture, which hinted at a desire for his kids to carry on his brand. Now, in her early 60s, Rainey remains a matriarchal figure within the Charles family. Though the surname carries weight, it's her dedication to family unity, transparency, and empowerment that truly defines her. In a lineage shaped by musical greatness, Rainey's enduring influence stems not from notes or melodies, but from her unwavering role as the family's compass. Sheila Ray Charles. Sheila Ray Charles, born in September 1963 to Ray Charles and Sandra Jean Betts, was a daughter who inherited both her father's musical talent and his inner demons. Raised in Cambridge, Minnesota, far from the glitz of Hollywood, Sheila's early life was marked by confusion, pain, and longing. Her father's fame brought distance, and her search for identity took her down a road of hardship before she found salvation in the very art form that made him a legend. Sheila's childhood was turbulent. With her father largely absent and her mother struggling to cope, Sheila faced trauma no child should endure, including sexual abuse and emotional instability. By her teens, she had fallen into a cycle of drug use, petty crime, and ultimately incarceration. Yet her darkest moments would also be her turning points. Behind bars, Sheila encountered faith. With the help of prison ministries, she turned her pain into purpose. Upon release, she embraced Christianity wholeheartedly and began sharing her story first through testimony, then through music. In 2005, she released her debut gospel album, My Daddy, using her voice to tell the world about addiction, forgiveness, and divine grace. Her songs were a mix of gospel soul and personal confession. Through them, Sheila honored her father not as a flawless figure, but as a man who also battled demons and emerged with integrity. They reconnected before his death in 2004, a reunion she described as healing. One of the most poignant moments of her life was singing Amazing Grace, imagining that her father, who had long found solace in music, was listening from afar. Sheila didn't stop at music. She became a motivational speaker, visiting prisons, schools, and recovery centers to inspire others. Her life became a ministry of hope, reminding the broken that redemption was real. She moved to Sarasota, Florida, raised a family, and continued her mission with passion. Tragically, Sheila Ray Charles passed away on June 15, 2017, at the age of 53 after a battle with breast cancer. But even in death, she left behind a message more powerful than any record that no matter where you begin, you can rewrite your story. Through faith, music, and resilience, Sheila transformed her pain into power and ensured that the Charles legacy would carry not only sound, but soul. Rainey Butler. Born in 1966, Rayatha Butler is one of the most private daughters of Ray Charles and perhaps the most independent. She is the first of two daughters Ray had with Mary Chantal Bertrand, a European woman he had a long-distance romance with during the 1960s. While her father was performing across the globe, Rayatha's early years were spent far from the chaos of fame in quieter, more structured surroundings that allowed her to craft an identity untouched by celebrity. Raised primarily by her mother, Rayatha was not immersed in the music industry. Unlike many of her siblings who were born into households with a backdrop of touring and recording sessions, Rayatha experienced stability and calm. She was taught to value education, discipline, and self-reliance principles she would later build a thriving career on. Now a successful real estate entrepreneur, Rayatha runs her own firm with offices in Peyton and Falcon, Colorado, specializing in residential properties. Her clients often have no idea she is the daughter of a music legend. She doesn't advertise it. Her personal and professional circles know her not for her last name, but for her integrity, attention to detail, and business acumen. In an era where celebrity children often pursue media attention, Rayatha made a conscious choice to stay out of the public eye. She has never published a memoir, participated in public interviews, or sought involvement in documentaries about her father. She was, however, present at the 2002 family meeting where Ray Charles laid out his estate plans. Like her siblings, she was promised a $500,000 trust, but unlike some, she did not involve herself in the subsequent lawsuits regarding music rights. Rayatha's absence from legal battles and media coverage doesn't signify apathy. Rather, it reflects a woman deeply content with the life she's built, one rooted in purpose, stability, and quiet dignity. Friends describe her as warm, reserved, and focused. She has strong ties with her younger sister, Alexandra, with whom she shares a close personal bond. Together, they represent the Bertrand sisters in the Charles family, private but deeply principled women. Today, in her late 50s, Rayatha continues to thrive in Colorado's business landscape. Though her father's legacy is never far from her thoughts, she has created her own. In a family filled with musicians, filmmakers, and public voices, Rayatha's strength lies in her refusal to be defined by the fame of her bloodline. She didn't need to sing or sue to claim her worth. She simply lived it. Alexandra Bertrand. Alexandra Bertrand, born in 1968, is the younger daughter of Ray Charles and Mary Chantal Bertrand, and one of the most elusive members of the Charles family. While others have spoken publicly or engaged in legal battles over Ray's legacy, Alexandra has remained almost entirely invisible to the public by choice. Raised partially in Europe, Alexandra was largely shielded from the whirlwind of her father's stardom. Her mother provided a stable and modest upbringing, emphasizing privacy, education, and personal growth. This European backdrop, far removed from Hollywood or touring life, shaped Alexandra into someone who values discretion over recognition. Though her father's musical fame echoed across continents, Alexandra never stepped into that world. There are no known performances, interviews, or business ventures bearing her name. She has chosen a life behind closed doors, a decision that has intrigued many, but respected by those who know her. She did attend the 2002 meeting arranged by Ray Charles before his passing, where 10 of his 12 children gathered some for the first time. During that emotional gathering, Ray explained his decision to leave the bulk of his estate to the Ray Charles Foundation and outlined a $500,000 trust for each child. Alexandra reportedly listened quietly and did not object. That was one of the few public moments in which her name surfaced. Unlike her sister Rayatha, Alexandra didn't participate in the lawsuits over music copyright or estate management. She has never commented publicly on her father's legacy, nor has she made any claims to his intellectual property. This restraint, some believe, reflects a quiet strength and a desire to be seen for who she is, not simply as Ray Charles's daughter. Though her professional life remains largely undocumented, it's known that Alexandra maintains a private lifestyle, potentially in Europe or a quiet corner of the US. Whether she pursued business, the arts, or another field entirely remains a mystery, a choice she seems fiercely committed to protecting. Those close to the Charles family say Alexandra and Rayatha share an enduring sibling bond. While not involved in public events, Alexandra is kept informed and stays connected in ways that matter most to her through family, not headlines. At 55 years old, Alexandra Bertrand remains one of the most enigmatic members of Ray Charles's lineage. Her life is a reminder that in a family of extraordinary public figures, choosing silence can be just as powerful as seeking the stage. Hers is a legacy of quiet authenticity, untouched by fame but deeply respected within the family circle. Vincent Kochunian. Born in 1977, Vincent Kochunian is one of Ray Charles's youngest children, the product of a unique and lasting relationship between Ray and Arlette Kochunian, a French-Armenian actress, photographer, and music lover based in Paris. Their long-distance romance began in the late 1960s and endured for decades, marked by deep affection despite cultural and geographic separation. Vincent was raised in a bicultural household with strong influences from both his mother's European roots and his father's African-American heritage. Though born in Los Angeles, he spent considerable time in France, allowing him to experience two vastly different worlds, one grounded in Parisian art and intellectualism, the other echoing with the rhythms of American soul. Unlike many of his siblings, Vincent didn't grow up around Ray's touring life or his American family network. His relationship with his father was more occasional but still affectionate. Their bond was more personal than public. Despite limited time together, Ray made a significant gesture when he allowed Vincent to design the cover of one of his albums in the late 1980s, a creative collaboration that fused their shared artistic sensibilities. Vincent never chased fame or music for a living. Instead, he found purpose in fitness and visual design. After attending the University of Southern California, he developed a passion for physical training and health sciences. He eventually became a personal trainer and worked at an MMA gym, helping clients achieve their physical best. His quiet discipline and attention to mental and physical well-being are often attributed to his dual upbringing and the example of Ray's work ethic, even if expressed in a very different form. Though he has never spoken publicly about his father or participated in media surrounding Ray's legacy, Vincent has always remained respectful and private. During the copyright reclamation case of 2010, his name did not appear among the siblings involved in the legal proceedings. He preferred to maintain a low profile, focusing on his work and passions rather than engaging in public disputes. Today, in his mid-40s, Vincent continues to live outside of the spotlight. Friends describe him as introspective, artistic, and quietly proud of his heritage. While the Kochunian name may not ring bells like Charles, Vincent carries his father's creative DNA in his own unique way through design wellness and a deep sense of personal authenticity. Robin Moffett. Born in 1978 on the west side of Chicago, Robin Moffett, who often goes by Robin Loya. Charles is the daughter of Ray Charles and Gloria Moffett, a woman Ray had a brief relationship with during the later years of his career. Though she didn't grow up surrounded by her father's fame or wealth, Robin discovered early on that music was part of her very essence. Raised primarily by her mother, Robin was exposed to music through church choirs, school talent shows, and the vibrant local R&B scene in Chicago. Her soulful voice and natural stage presence led her to pursue a creative life, but she knew from watching the careers of others, especially children of celebrities, that talent wasn't enough. Business knowledge was crucial. Robin eventually relocated to Atlanta, where she immersed herself in the city's rich musical culture. There she became affiliated with A-class productions, recording, writing, and performing in both intimate venues and studio sessions. But more importantly, she began learning the inner workings of music publishing. She saw how easily artists could be exploited without understanding contracts and licensing. In 2015, she launched R. Charles & Company Enterprises, a music publishing and consulting firm aimed at empowering independent artists. Her firm helps musicians navigate royalties, licensing deals, and publishing rights, an area she knew was vital not just for herself, but for countless artists lacking resources. This entrepreneurial endeavor positioned her not just as a performer, but as a protector of creative rights. Robin also valued education. She studied music business and entertainment marketing at Columbia College Chicago, gaining a strong foundation that helped her avoid common industry pitfalls. Her sharp blend of creative talent and business savvy made her one of the most well-rounded descendants of Ray Charles. Though she didn't engage in high-profile legal fights like some of her siblings, Robin supported their efforts to reclaim the family's copyrights. She understood the importance of legacy ownership, even if she chose to fight that battle from the side of artist empowerment rather than through the courts. Offstage, Robin is a proud single mother to her daughter, Avery Ryan. Balancing motherhood, entrepreneurship, and music hasn't always been easy, but Robin handles it with strength and purpose. Her voice, both literally and figuratively, continues to be a guiding force in her life. Now, in her mid-40s, Robin Loya Charles is forging a path that blends artistry and accountability. Her legacy isn't built on her father's success. It's built on using what she learned from his story to help others rise in an industry where too many fall. Ryan Corey Robinson Denbach. Born in 1987, Ryan Corey Robinson Denbach is the final chapter in Ray Charles's personal legacy. A child born during the last decade of the music icon's life. His mother, Mary Ann Denbach, a Canadian-born actress and attorney, shared a deep bond with Ray throughout the 1980s. Their son, arriving when Ray was 56 years old, became both a symbol of late-in-life renewal and the beginning of a generational shift. Unlike many of his older siblings, Ryan didn't grow up during the whirlwind touring years. Instead, his upbringing occurred in the quieter, more reflective phase of his father's life. Though their time together was relatively short, Ray Charles passed away in 2004 when Ryan was just 16. Their bond was described by those close to them as warm and affectionate. Ray doted on him in ways he hadn't always been able to, with his earlier children showing signs of a father striving to make up for past absences. After Ray's death, Ryan found himself in the middle of complex family and legal turmoil. Because he was a minor at the time, his mother, Mary Ann, took legal action on his behalf, joining forces with several of Ray's other children in a long-running battle over their rights to his name, music, and image. Mary Ann, a trained lawyer, became a vocal advocate, arguing that Ray's children were entitled to more than just the $500,000 trust they had been granted. At the heart of their efforts was a belief that the people who carried Ray's blood should also help carry and control his legacy. As Ryan reached adulthood, he chose to express his connection to his father not through courtrooms, but through music. He launched a YouTube channel where he performs soulful covers of Ray Charles classics like Georgia on My Mind and Hallelujah, I Love Her So. While he doesn't try to imitate his father's exact style, how could anyone? He brings a heartfelt, respectful touch to each performance. His voice carries echoes of Ray's spirit filtered through a new generation's lens. But Ryan has also shown a desire to forge his own artistic identity. Alongside tributes, he's explored other musical genres, demonstrating a creative openness that suggests he's still discovering his sound. His performances are modest in production but rich in emotion, reflecting not a celebrity's polish, but a son's sincerity. Now, in his late 30s, Ryan continues to keep a low public profile, choosing introspection over headlines. He hasn't spoken much to the media, preferring to let his art speak. Though he is not a star in the traditional sense, he remains deeply rooted in his father's influence, honoring him through music memory and integrity. Ryan Corey Robinson Denbach may have been the last of Ray's children to arrive, but his journey reflects the enduring power of a legacy passed through generations. In his voice and quiet passion lies the sound not just of homage, but of continuation. 12 children, 12 paths, one legendary father. From the shadows of fame to center stage, each of Ray Charles's children carved a life uniquely their own. Some embraced his legacy, others quietly defied it. But did they receive the recognition they truly deserved? Or were they sidelined in favor of corporate control? We want to hear from you. Should Ray's biological children have had more say in preserving his legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, where we uncover the untold stories behind Black cultural icons.